Today, some new information came out for Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. And while I'm not going to cover every little detail, there was a new trailer that can be analyzed and broken down. I'll provide a link to the trailer/commercial thingy in the description below. I do want to cover some updates that come from like the official website and a press release and all this stuff. And I'm not going to go into too heavy detail outside of what is included in this update because I personally am not really that excited for Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. And on this channel, I want to kind of keep things more relevant to my own passions with Nintendo. And in fact, in covering this news has actually inspired my next video for tomorrow, which I will give you a breakdown at the end of the video. Anyways, let's get right into it. So, Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon have been powered up with new additions to the story and features of Pokemon Sun and Pokemon Moon. These titles are coming to Nintendo 3DS family of systems on November 17th, 2017. Just as was true for 2016's Pokemon Sun and Pokemon Moon, these titles will also allow players to enjoy playing in one of 9 languages, which include English, Japanese, Spanish, French, German, Italian, Korean, Simplified Chinese, and Traditional Chinese. Ominous dark clouds are spreading in the sky above the Alola region, the setting of Pokemon Ultra Sun and Pokemon Ultra Moon. New buildings and landscapes appear that were not previously seen in Pokemon Sun and Pokemon Moon. Necromaza's new tale in Pokemon Ultra Sun and Pokemon Ultra Moon, a story unfolds on a grand scale with the legendary Pokemon Solgaleo, Lunala, and Necromaza, and its center secrets about Necrozma and Alola region, undisclosed in the previous games, will come to light. There's a new look for a new adventure. The look of the main characters' outfits has changed from the first trip through the Alola region, just in time for them to begin a new adventure. Choose the Pokemon that will become your partner and set out on a journey through the world of Alola. The new features include new Z moves. In Pokemon Sun and Pokemon Moon, the main character wears a Z ring in order to use Z moves. In Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, the main character will put on a Z power ring, which can use even more varieties of Z moves than the Z ring. And the game also features new Z moves for certain Pokemon. Z moves are moves with tremendous power, so powerful they can only be used once per battle. When a trainer and their Pokemon combine the force of their wills, the full strength of their efforts burst forth in an epic Z move. All Pokemon can use Z moves. To use a Z move, you must have 2 key items, a Z power ring, and a Z crystal. And there's some new screenshots. I'll have those rolling throughout this video. So, I'm torn on Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. And I've said this in the past, and it's been a while since I've really talked about Pokemon here at Nintendo Prime, because obviously I've been all up on the Switch. Almost every single news piece, every single thing I do is reporting on Switch. I don't talk a lot about 3DS games. And it's not just because I'm down on the 3DS at this point in 2017 and think the Switch should overtake it. It's more than that. As an example, Pokemon here has been a massive franchise for handheld systems for a long time. But now that I know a Pokemon game is coming to Switch, I don't have a lot of interest in this game. And to be fair, I never bought Pokemon Sun or Pokemon Moon. So I've been out of the franchise for Pokemon. Last time I was really deep diving into Pokemon was probably Diamond and Pearl, and ever since then I've kind of fallen out of love with Pokemon. And it's not that I grew out of it or that I don't enjoy the occasional battle and stuff. I almost feel like the game started getting overly complex. Not only did I not enjoy some of the newer Pokemon designs and the names, I just thought the game itself and the mechanics were getting way too complicated to master. And that doesn't mean that they really are that any more complex than any other RPG out there, right? I mean, RPGs, to master them, to become the greatest, to become the best, has always been difficult. And then there was the aspect of Pokemon that I always felt was the heart of the series, and that was the gotta catch 'em all. And for a while they kind of threw that catchphrase to the side, and it was no longer about catching them all. It was just about being the best Pokemon master in the world, being the best, blah blah blah. And that's fine. That's always been in the series, the old beating the Elite Four and becoming the champion. That's always been a thing. And obviously competitive Pokemon has also always kind of been a thing, because even back in the day you could link up 2 Game Boys and fight against each other. So these are aspects that have always been part of Pokemon, but to me the core of it was always gotta catch 'em all. So to be the ultimate Pokemon master wasn't about being the best Pokemon player, but it was about capturing every single Pokemon. And with how many Pokemon are out there now, I don't know, was it 760 plus at this point? It's a lot harder to be someone who catches them all. You got to own both games. Sometimes you have to own multiple generations because not all 760 Pokemon are in that gen. And it becomes this task that is almost too tedious to enjoy doing. And obviously, for those people who've had all these Pokemon captured to keep transferring them game to game using Pokemon Bank, that's fine. Like they've made easier ways to get a hold of some of the Pokemon with trades and everything, and obviously with online being introduced. But it's just something that I fell away from. Right, I am no longer in love with the Pokemon series. It became too complicated, and became too complicated. Not as a casual, like obviously. Kids enjoy Pokemon. They pick up, they play it, they enjoy it. But that's not the way I am with Pokemon. I gotta catch them all, and I gotta master the system. I want to have the best TMs and HMs, and I don't even know if they use TMs or HMs anymore. But I want to build the best possible Pokemon roster for my taste. Like if I want a Pokemon roster led by Charizard or whatever Mega Charizard EX and all this stuff they've added over the years, or Alolan Charizard, whatever it is, because Charizard's my favorite Pokemon. I'm obviously going to build a team around him that complements him and complements fighting multiple different opponents. And obviously, I still want a nice rotation of 8 to 10 to 12 Pokemon that I can rotate in for depending on who I'm going to be facing up against and what kind of groups they're going to have. But that's usually how I did Pokemon in the past, and I want to get back to that. But it's so hard to master. I mean, now you breed Pokemon and like hatch eggs and do all this. And this isn't just in Pokemon Go. This originates in the games, so it's just become an extremely complex system to me that I don't know if I really want to put the time in to master. And I understand many of you guys don't think it's that complicated. You think Pokemon's gotten a lot better. I have heard that Pokemon Sun and Pokemon Moon is really the true first generation, and maybe even 10 or 15 years, that has really revolutionized and reinvigorated the franchise and really brought it all together. Maybe it didn't make it as complicated. Maybe it just makes it feel so much fresher. And I played the demo, wasn't impressed by the demo, and that's why I didn't pick up the games, because my first taste of the games were not good. And I even told, my former pal Darren Haar, who's been on the podcast in the past and used to work at Zelda Informer, that if he would send me his copy of Pokemon, then I would gladly play it and be more fair about the game, because I want to be fair about Pokemon Sun and Pokemon Moon and the Pokemon franchise in general. But it's so hard to even ponder getting back into a game that I know I'm going to sink hundreds of hours into, and I might just not enjoy it because I don't. It's hard to explain. And I'm 31, so I grew up with Pokemon Red, Pokemon Blue, Pokemon Yellow, Silver, Platinum, and whatever, Gold, and so many different versions. I grew up on Pokemon. Like, this isn't new to me. It's just I've never grown out of love with a franchise more somberly, more regrettably than I have with Pokemon. I still love Mario. A lot of the games I played back then, I still love those franchises growing up, and I learned to love new franchises like Splatoon and ARMS. But even Codename Steam. But I find it hard to get back into Pokemon. It's not like I hate it. I don't hate Pokemon. I don't. I play Pokemon Go. I have the Pokemon Duel game that I think could be really, really good if the app was actually better designed. I like the premise of Pokemon games, but Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, even with these new additions, obviously if the original games didn't really draw me in, these games are not going to draw me in either. And if you guys are all excited for this, that's fine. I'm glad. Like, enjoy your Pokemon. It's great. I can tell you right now that the first Pokemon game I'm going to get into in probably more than a decade is the Pokemon game on Switch. Because there's one thing Pokemon hasn't done yet that I always wanted to do from way back in the day. I've always wanted a full console quality Pokemon game. Like a mainline game. And we're finally getting it on Switch. It's probably not going to be here for a couple years, but the whole premise of that excites me. And maybe it doesn't revolutionize the franchise. Maybe it plays it safe. But that's what's going to get me. That alone, that whole thought process is interesting enough for me to finally give Pokemon a chance again. So I'm going to be hopping back in with Pokemon on Switch. And I feel like I'm going to have an interesting perspective of video content for that, whether it's a preview, whether it's a review, whether it's just a discussion between me, you guys, or me and Eric, or me and other people out there. I would love to get a podcast going about Pokemon Switch when it comes out with people who continue to play Pokemon and love Pokemon, and where they feel its shortcomings are, its high points are, because to me, this is going to be my reintroduction to the series because it is something I've always wanted since I was a little kid, and now we're going to get it, so I have to play it. I have to try it. No matter how it looks or what the gameplay looks like, even if it ends up not looking that impressive, I still know that I'm going to give it a shot. But yeah, enjoy your Ultra Sun and your Ultra Moon in November. I feel like I have plenty of content to play right now on Switch, so I'm obviously not going to be playing Pokemon, but yeah, enjoy the news. I don't know how many more updates I'm going to give you on Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, because again, as I said at Nintendo Prime here, it's a lot of what I want to cover, and if I'm not really that interested in it, I obviously don't want to cover it, but I realize that Pokemon's a big thing, and a lot of our fan base is going to care, so I wanted to bring this news to you, and if there's other really big news for Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, I might cover it again, just for the sake of clarity, and because I know some people come to us for news, and not just the news I want to cover. It's got to be news they're interested in. So, yeah. Let me know what you guys think about my opinions on Pokemon over the years and this news on Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. As always, I am Nathaniel Rufflegents from Nintendo Prime. If you like this video, you know what to do. If you dislike the video, hit that dislike button. And what's interesting when I say that hit that dislike button is I've seen a lot of people comment that I'm one of the few YouTubers they hear say hit that dislike button, like encouraging people to dislike. And my thought process is I'm not encouraging anyone to dislike, right? What I'm doing is I'm encouraging people to be honest. If you don't like this news, you don't like what I have to say, dislike it. If you do like it, hit the like button, because one of the most valuable feedback I can get is actually the like and dislike ratio, because comments are great. I love taking your comments feedback, but when one person posts a really negative comment and that gets a bunch of likes on that comment, it doesn't necessarily mean anything, because they could be trolling, they could just be a group of haters, whereas that like to dislike ratio is usually how I can get a general feel for how the whole of the fan base really feels about what I'm producing. So even if a video gets like 1,000 views, but it's got, 70 likes to 3 dislikes, well, obviously most people that bothered to check out the video enjoyed it. So that's just how I kind of gauge content too. Like, I know not to cover anything about Nick Robinson or stuff again, because the like to dislike ratio was not very good. So anyways, I am Nathaniel Rufflegents from Nintendo Prime, and I'll catch you in the next one.